What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is August 14th, 2024. And market's closed. Today was a pump, dump, pump day. Pump, dump day. Interesting day. CPI came in basically as expected, so no big surprise there. But I think now the focus is going to be on the labor market. If the labor market's getting weak, obviously the Fed's got to cut rates either way. But does that point towards the idea of a recession? So we got to start worrying about that now. With all that said, I had a dentist appointment this morning at 9 o'clock. I didn't get on the mic until 10 o'clock. I had all my charts and levels and everything put up for the people in our community prior to that. So you won't see any call put lines because I had a drill in my mouth at that point. And you won't see any trade suggestions, including the first one that I took, until, well, shortly after 10 o'clock. Today, I did something different that I normally would not do. And I'll explain this trade when we get to it. But I'm not a call out service. You guys are well aware of that. Today, I did a solid call out. And I don't know what came about. What came over me, because I never do this. I always say, guys, if this happens, then this is likely to be the result. Never tell people when to buy anything or when to sell anything. That's not my job. And quite frankly, I'm not legally allowed to do that. Today, on this particular trade, and I'll show it to you, I knew. Now, I say I know, even though nobody could see the future, so we don't know. But I don't know if I just felt, I've never been more confident in a trade idea than I think this one. And I didn't take it. And we'll explain why when we get to it. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is going to be a quick video too, because again, I'm still under the weather and it just is what it is. CPI came out, got a little crazy. I drew all my lines about 8 o'clock this morning. So pre-market was pretty tame at that point. We opened up above yesterday's high of day. So we did have a gap below us, which quickly got filled. We couldn't maintain a level above our first target high. And again, I wasn't here until about 10 o'clock. So hopefully you all realized that we were trending down. Was the Qs doing the same at that time? Yeah, so Qs were trending down, SPY was trending down. Everything was going in your favor at the open, including ADD. So no reason to buy calls at open for sure. And then when I got back, we drew a trend line. I said, guys, pullbacks during downtrends are the best time to buy, and we'll look for another leg down. Hopefully it brings us down to the next support. This is the first trade I took for the day. Took it right down to this. Now, I stopped out on this green candle because I was thinking that there was going to be more to the downside. There wasn't. So I stopped out with a little bit less profit than I could have had. But the suggestion was we're looking to break support off of a lower high, head down to the next support. Around 10:11, I think Qs were hitting support as well. Yeah, they were right down here. Okay, so in fact, this is why I held the trade a little longer. I was waiting for the Qs to get down to this line. Didn't quite make it there. But we knew that if the Qs got back above this one, we had to get out of the trade. And that's exactly what happened. So I gave it a little extra time, didn't work out, got stopped out. That ended up being a 16.7% win. Good money. I was happy with it. And then we broke the downtrend with a higher low. Now, I'm not interested in buying calls just yet. Too many levels of resistance to worry about to our left. We pull back down. Wasn't suggesting puts there either until we could take out lower highs. When we make a change of direction, there's two things I want to see. Just like there's two things I want to see for me to switch my puts to calls. I want to see the break of the trend that we were in. Okay, that takes puts off the table. Now, I don't believe this is more than a pullback until we put in at least one higher low. That's when I'm willing to switch into calls, and definitely out of puts because we broke the downtrend. All right. But in this case, we came off of a higher low. It did run back up to the next resistance. Couldn't get through it. Down to support. Again, not really a higher low because it came back down to the same support area that it was before. Right back up to the same resistance. So kind of a channel. And then it broke resistance or support and came back down, made new lows a day. Not worried about that. What are we worried about? We're worried about ADD and Qs. Are ADD and Qs rotating to the upside? The answer was yes. So the Qs started to put in higher lows. Okay, around 1044, SPY was putting in higher lows around 1044. This is where we start looking for calls. So we broke the downtrend. Okay, we bounced up, pulled back to support, bounced up, pulled back to support. This is your entry. This is your potential profit because of resistance here. Now, if we want to wait, you get in when Qs and or SPY break above their next resistance during an uptrend. And you take it. Now, what's awesome about this trade, now I want to say this. The second trade I took today was a losing trade. It was this one here. I was looking to buy puts at this pullback, and I did. And we hoped for it to come back down to this orange line. That did not happen. Stopped out of this trade for an 8% loss, which basically took away half the profit I made on my winning trade. I feel like I forced that trade, and for that reason, this was the last trade of the day for me. I made that abundantly clear to everybody in the community. I said, guys, I'm getting in here. I got in here. I hoped it was going to bounce down to this level at least. Would have been my second winning trade of the day. It didn't do it. I had the opportunity to get out with a decent profit at one point, but I wanted support down here. I didn't get it. So we stopped out for a loss. That took away half of my profits. Now I have to wonder, am I going to take the third trade for the sole purpose of trying to get back to the profits I would have had I never taken the second one? That's when you have to be cognizant of what your emotions are maybe having you do, okay? So many times we listen to our emotions and not reason or logic, okay? I felt that was happening to me. And I didn't want to take the chance of taking a third trade, potentially turning what was still a green day into a break even or a red day, trying to chase more. I had already achieved my goal on the first trade, and I took a second one anyway. It made my day less green, still above my daily goal. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to call it a day right there. Now, because of that comment right there, kept me out of one of the most comfortable trades I have ever called out. I'm saying called out because I told people this one's going to be big. Were my exact words. Told everybody exactly where it was going to go and exactly when it was going to start. And I didn't take it because I was staying true to my word. If you know, you know. You were in there if you heard it. Okay? You heard it if you were in there. Anyway, we found a bunch of moves to the way up. We rode this thing all the way up. And I think at this point, Qs was hitting their pink line at 1134, if I'm not mistaken. No, they had already broken through. So Qs was hitting this resistance right here, over here. Okay, so we were waiting for the Qs to hopefully make it up to their orange line. Qs kept breaking resistances on the way up. ADD has started to recover as well. To the upside, not a big up day on ADD, but it stopped dropping, which was the key. And Qs and SPY was putting in higher lows and breaking through resistances. So every one of these circles either is because SPY was hitting a solid resistance or Qs was hitting their next resistance. People got in all the way down here and some rode it all the way up to this point here. Okay, we were 3 cents away from hitting this target high. Never got to it, but this is when the fun part started. This is when we saw all three of these trades before they happened. You just had to wait patiently, okay? What were we looking for here? 2 criteria. Clearly, we are trending up, okay? We're trending up here. Criteria number 1, we must break the uptrend. Criteria number 2, coming off of a lower high. What we were expecting to happen was to this support to fail because of the lower high. We get that candle close below that support. We're looking for a minimum of a move to the next support down, which is right here. So that in and of itself was about a 60-cent move. That pays nice. But at the same time, Qs and ADD had already started to sell off, and therefore we hung onto that trade until we got to the next line of support, which was down here. Qs, I think, were hitting support at the same time down here. No, was it here? What time was this? 12:17. Yeah, it was down here. So Qs were already putting in lower highs. This is how I told people. SPY was still putting in higher lows, higher highs. And I told everybody, I said, guys, Qs is already putting in lower highs and lower lows. For that reason, I won't be taking calls on SPY, is what I said. But I could tell you this, if the Qs keep doing this, SPY is eventually going to catch on, in my opinion. We need SPY to put in a lower high and break their higher low first, which was right here. That happened here, and then we should start coming down. That's exactly what happened. We got 3 $1 plus moves in a row in a short period of time. These were all banger of a trades, and I'm going to tell you how we saw them in advance. I just told you how we found the idea to consider puts. We just had to wait for the reason for SPY to give us the entry. Qs already started trending down. SPY had not yet, but they ultimately did with a lower high, a break of support. Then we're looking for the move down. That happened. We get down to support on Qs and SPY. We take profits. We pull back to resistance, okay? To resistance on SPY and on Qs, old support, new resistance, or you could look at the split candle. Could have been another entry, but I said, guys, Qs gets through that blue line. This is the one. This is the one. I said, more conservative would be waiting for a breach of this support right here. But if that happens, we are going to go down to, my exact words, at least 542.61. Okay, so whether you got in because Qs broke their support early, or you recognized the lower high and you expected this support to break, or you waited for this support to be taken out, you got to have one hell of a ride down, and it was quick. That was a beautiful move to the downside. I had forecasted this one as clear as you could possibly tell it. Guys, this is my exact words. This is going to be a big one. I want to take this. And then I was reminded, Jimmy, you said you weren't going to trade anymore today, and I did not take the trade. Would have got into that contract for $890 a piece. It made it down to where I would have gotten out somewhere around 1,570-ish, I think it was. We did it as a mental trade since I wasn't allowed to take the regular trade. That right there would have been a $3,500 to $4,000 win in a minute and a half to 2 minutes. The setup was beautiful. And the reason I was so excited about it was because you don't find space between support levels this late in the day with this much room between support levels. That's what made it so exciting. And we were coming off of lower highs, okay, on the Qs and SPY, and ADD was selling off. This was such a perfect setup. So we did have quite a few take that trade today, and I'm happy about that. I did not because I wasn't going to go back on my word, but that trade was fantastic. Now, are puts off the table? They were. Puts were off the table. We got down to the pink line. Qs made it down to support down here. It was beautiful. Now, as we move up, there was 2 criteria, again, in order for us to get into calls or puts. Now, normally, this wedge would break up, and it did temporarily. But you know what was stopping it from continuing up? Well, let's go back to our Qs chart at 1241. Qs had found a resistance right here that it was struggling to get through. I said, guys, if the Qs can't move up, ADD may be able to pull SPY up a little bit at a time, but if Qs can't move up, SPY's not going to go at any fast pace. So I wouldn't jump into puts unless we break this white trend line, criteria number 1, and Qs could get below this blue line, criteria number 2. 1243, both criteria are met. Down we go. Where are we going? All the way down to this next level of support, which we got from the Qs line right here. Another $1 move, another banger trade. Beautiful. After that, I would say the chart went to trash, just like it did late yesterday. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you look for the signs, remember the 2 rules. Lower highs are bad for puts, for calls, and higher lows are bad for puts. Just remember those 2 things. You don't have to play any trades, but maybe it keeps you out of trades you might have bought calls down here on support. I'm telling you, if you see lower highs, okay, please reconsider buying calls off of lower highs. Just watch how often that would keep you out of a trade that doesn't work. I promise. It's a big deal. Same thing with higher lows. You might be saying, hey, this is a beautiful drop to the downside. I'm going to buy puts at this blue line resistance. Great. But just know that the buyers are getting stronger. And how do you know that? Because we put in a higher low. Okay, so even if this did hold as resistance, you now have to worry about this holding as support. There ain't much room there for money. Or the buyers are strong enough to push through that resistance, which is exactly what happens very, 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 very often. Okay. So with that said, I hope you all had a fantastic day today. Today was not a great day for a lot of people in our community. I'm not really sure what happened or what went wrong. I don't know if we had a bunch of greens turned red or what, because the later part of the day wasn't beautiful. It wasn't nice later in the day. You did have some grindy type feeling moves today, but it turned to crap real quick. But if you got any useful information out of this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, we'd love to have you. There's a link down below. First week's completely free. And if you like what you get for that week, consider becoming a paying member. If you don't want to become a paying member, you don't have to leave. You just won't have access to the live rooms or the audiobook library or several other things. Okay. I hope you did well today and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Till then, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you.